All right, we are back in session. Mr. Hess, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
My name is Gene Hess, 304762.
Yes, sir. And let's see, you have with you Kelly Herrera, your stepdaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess she's on Zoom, right? She's trying to log in. So, and she wants to speak on your behalf. So at the appropriate time, we'll call on her to do that. And you have your wife there with you, Mrs. Hess, your sister, McKinney Hess, and your brother, Rocky Hess. Thank y'all for being here and support. That's so important. I'll just read some identifying information into the record, Mr. Hess, and then I will turn it over to Mrs. Jackson. Your case has been assigned to her. She'll take the lead on the interview. And then we'll hear from your stepdaughter at the appropriate time. Mr. Hess, you're here today. You're seeking a commutation of your sentence, and you were sentenced in the 25th Judicial District, Plaquemines Parish, in November 1991 to a life sentence for a first-degree murder conviction. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mrs. Jackson, please?
Good morning, Mr. Hess. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ms. Jackson.
How old are you?
53 at the time.
And how long have you been incarcerated on this case?
I was arrested December the 23rd, 1990.
How many years?
33, about 33 years now.
All right. So you were about 20 years old when this crime occurred. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's talk about what was going on in your life when you were about 20 years old. Had you graduated from high school?
No, ma'am, not at that time at 20. No, ma'am.
When did you stop going to school?
7th grade.
And why was that?
My dad and my brother went to prison. And I had to take care of my mom and my little brother. So I went to shrimping and fishing.
All right. And how old were you when you started working?
13.
How old?
13.
And how long did you work in the fishing industry?
Till I was about 16, and I got a job with Bama Construction as a welder's helper and advanced into a weld.
Okay. I think you're fine.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, we had some technical issues, but we're ready to proceed. Ms. Jackson.
All right. All right, Mr. Hess, at the time this crime occurred, were you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing then?
Sandblasting and painting with common construction.
Okay. What about drugs or alcohol? You indicated that there is a family history of drugs and alcohol. So tell us about your own personal issues with drugs or alcohol. You indicated perhaps being intoxicated around the time of this offense. So tell us about your use of drugs and alcohol.
At the time the crime committed, I was with my sister Melanie that's here today.
I know. I'm not talking about that specific day. I'm talking about that point in time in your life. Did you use illegal drugs?
Yes, ma'am. I smoke weed.
Okay, and what else besides marijuana? What else did you use?
No other drugs.
When did you start using marijuana? At what age?
14, 15.
And how often were you using it?
2 or 3 times a week.
What about alcohol? Drink alcohol?
Yes, ma'am. I was younger when I started drinking alcohol, and I'm not really sure what age. Probably 10, 11.
Well, What kind of alcohol did you normally like to drink?
Budweiser, beer,
There, what about any other kinds of liquor?
no ma'am.
So how often were you drinking beer?
I used to, when I was a kid growing up, I used to sneak in my dice box every day.
And what about as you got older?
I started drinking some, but when I turned about 18 or so, I really quit drinking. I really wasn't drinking much no more. And I was just I smoked weed.
So, on the date of this incident, had you had any marijuana or alcohol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, tell us what you had.
That morning when I woke up, I went to the Orange Festival with my sister. I drank beer all day. I don't remember eating nothing.
I thought you said you had stopped drinking around the time you were 18 and you were just using marijuana.
I slowed down. Well, I didn't completely stop. I wasn't drinking as much. I was going months without drinking, and it was just the Orange Festival. And I was just with my sister, and she said, "Here, drink a beer." So I started drinking.
All right.
It was a hot day. Taco times. And I left. Well, we was there. I don't remember eating nothing at the fort that day, buying no food or nothing. I had my little brother with me. When my sister left, I left my little brother with his friends. I caught a ride with my cousin back to his house.
Who was your
Yes.
cousin? What was your cousin's name?
Don Hess.
Okay. And where did your cousin live?
He lived across the street from where I lived at in Venice.
And where did you live?
I live in Venice, straight across from him. And I can't remember the name of that lane.
Was it in a trailer park?
Yes, ma'am.
And who lived in the trailer with you?
It was me, LaWanna Lorette, and Terrell Beers.
Okay, I'm sorry, say the names again.
LaWanna Lorette and Terrell Beers.
All right. And you and Mr. Burris were roommates?
Yeah.
And who was the third person?
My girlfriend, LaWanna Lorette.
Did she live there or just visited there?
She lived there.
Okay. Well, who is John Ryan? Tell me who John Ryan is, how you knew Mr. Ryan.
I did not know Mr. Ryan. They tried to say I knew him when I went to trial, but I didn't. Terrell Beers, Wanda Droughty, was with John Kevin Ryan. Later that night, they come by my house. I was already at home asleep on the couch. Next thing I know, Wanda Droughty's boyfriend shows up. He looking for LaWanna. And no Wanda. And next thing I know, they had a big old fight and everything else. And the cop showed up at my house. I told the deputy, Mr. Beers, that I would like all of them to leave. Even Terrell Beers, Ryan, Richie Vasquez, because Richie was fighting with Wanda. And I was trying to get all the leave.
Sorry, stop talking. Okay, this is all jumbled up. A lot of it's not making sense, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when you leave your cousin's house across the street, you went home, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was at the trailer when you got there?
Nobody.
Okay, what did you do when you got there?
I went to sleep on the couch.
All right, and what woke you up?
What woke me up was Wanda Droughty, Terrell Beers, and John Kevin Ryan coming to my house at the same time. They was all on the same gear.
And when you woke up, then what? What did you do when you woke up?
I asked them what they were doing, what they wanted. They were looking for LaWanna, and about that time,
Stop talking. Didn't Mr. Burris live there?
yes.
So he had a right to be there.
Well, it was a rule that don't bring nobody over.
Don't do what?
don't bring people over to the trail.
Oh, don't bring people over to the trailer.
Especially people you do not know.
Okay,
You don't want people that you don't know just showing up at your house.
right. And so
And
Mr. Burris came, and who was with Mr. Burris?
John, Kevin, Ryan, and Wanda Droughty.
And who was Ronnie?
Wanda Droughty,
Mm-hmm.
she was with them. She's just a known girl that hang out in ballrooms, that had a boyfriend, was jealous. I mean,
No.
she's a drug addict.
Okay,
You know,
well, okay, they come to the trailer, then what?
they was looking for Luana. Luana was not there. The next thing I know, Wanda Droughty's boyfriend, Richie Vasquez, pulled up looking for Wanda. Right? When he asked for Wanda come from the living room going into the kitchen. He comes inside, started fighting with her, and he hit her with a beer bottle. And next thing I know, the cops is at my house.
Wait, whoa, what do you mean the next thing you know? Why are you skipping over everything?
What I'm saying, they had a fight. The neighbors that was right there must have heard them, and they called the cops.
Where was Mr. Ryan?
Mr. Ryan was in a trailer with Terrell Pierce. They was trying to break up the fight. Stop Richie from beating on Wanda with a beer bottle.
Who was trying to break up the fight?
I was telling them to stop Terrell Pierce and Kevin Ryan.
Okay, and then what happened?
I remember the cops showing up, and by that time the fight broke up, and I was telling them, I asked the deputy, Mr. Deputy Beers, that for all of them to leave, even Terrell. I wanted Terrell and all of them to leave.
Okay,
Because,
did they leave?
yes, ma'am.
Who all left?
Richie, Terrell, Mr. Ryan, and Wanda. They all left.
All right, and then what happened?
I was at home and I went back to sleep.
Okay, and then what?
So it was around 4:30, 5 o'clock, Luana come back to the house. The girl, my girlfriend. She was by Luana.
Came back and,
Yeah, she was by her mother-in-law.
okay. And then what happened?
That was it. Next thing I know, 2 weeks later, I'm arrested. Now, as far as what Terrell Burris's statement is, and part of the police report, Terrell Burris said, I put a gun in his hand, I called him different names and things and made him commit murder inside my trailer. He said everything I said, I made him do it. I mean, it's a he say, she say thing. You know, he pled guilty to second-degree murder. I went to trial for first-degree murder, and he already said he killed the dude and everything, but I still got a greater charge than him of first-degree murder. I mean, I understand what a principle is. You know, I didn't pull the trigger, I didn't kill the dude or nothing. And there's a lot of things in my case that it's not really in a record.
Well, let me ask you this, didn't they find some blood belonging to the victim on the sofa in your trailer?
No, ma'am. The paper.
They didn't find blood?
The paper that I read where the couch went to Biloxi, there was no biological evidence on that piece of paper. They found a drop of blood by the kitchen sink. And it was not the victim's blood. That was Wanda Droughty's blood. Correct. It's the same type of blood that was found in a paper towel in a victim's truck when they got the truck from Texas. And Wanda Drought clearly stated she was never back in that truck. So if he was never back in that truck, how would a bloody paper towel get in that truck when the truck went all the way to Texas?
So your position today is that you were not involved in any way with the killing of Mr. John Ryan.
That's correct, ma'am. I did not kill him. I did not pull no trigger. I did not tell nobody to hurt that man.
And I think in your application, you said that the judicial system had it out for you, and that's how you ended up getting convicted. Why would the judicial system have it out for you in particular?
In particular, my family history of my daddy and brother. And there was a lot of legal things that went on between them, lawsuits back and forth, lawsuits with my brother in the parish. I felt by me being a kid, when even though my daddy and brother was in a lawsuit with the same judge that I went to trial with, him and the court reporter. That lawsuit was filed 6 months before I was arrested.
Well, who were they suing?
Ma'am,
Who were they suing?
They were suing my daddy. My daddy and my brother were suing the court reporter and the judge, Michael Kirby.
Okay. What were they suing them about?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's move forward. I see that you have taken some programming. Most of them have been vocational
Yes, ma'am.
programs, like HVAC and heavy equipment and pipe fitting and welding and concrete finishing, and those are all good things. But most of those were received in April of this year. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's a lot of my certifications that I'm approved as an instructor to teach. I did the HVAC class, I did welding. Some of my paperwork got lost from Angola, from auto mechanic school stuff. I've been really focused on rehabilitation and education. That way I can support myself when I get out. I'm not the 20-year-old kid no more.
Well, now you're saying you're not the 20-year-old kid. You're saying the 20-year-old kid hadn't done anything, didn't do anything wrong. So why would you need to be a different person than that 20-year-old kid if you weren't involved in this crime?
Well, as a 20-year-old kid, I was illiterate. I didn't have no education and none of that. And when I come to prison, I took advantage of the education.
Okay.
I know I needed the education.
Okay, let me talk to you about some of the other programs. I know you've worked hard on developing certain vocational skills, and that's good. But, what we look for is, what have you done to work on yourself as a person? And I guess the thing for me that I'm struggling with is if you didn't do anything wrong, if you weren't involved at all in Mr. Ryan's death, you didn't, encourage, assist, aid another person in committing the crime. I'm just at a loss to understand what you felt like you needed to work on as an individual if in fact you had not committed this crime at all.
Well, what I needed to work on was myself, because I needed to get off the drugs. I needed to get off the alcohol. I wasn't thinking clearly. I just needed to be a better person. And as I got to know different people with other education, I tried to do that. I tried to better myself, the way to think of things, better outlooks. I took different classes to understand some of the tragedies.
Tell me some of the classes you took that helped you understand yourself better.
Thinking for a change. The mental health class I took with Miss Alexa.
Tell me about, I'm talking, what mental health class?
mental health class was based on different triggers of why people do different things on mental health, why people act the way they act, different aspects of different mental health capabilities, why some people has anxieties, the way they feel, things along that nature.
And why'd you take that class?
Because by being a kid, I'm from a dysfunctional family, and I wanted to learn things about myself. Why do I always want to argue with somebody when it doesn't really matter from right or wrong? You know, it's different things. I mean, why did I do drugs when I was a kid? Why did I want this? Why? You know, I had a lot of questions that were never answered. By taking the classes, it showed me why I did some of the things that I did.
What was the reason? Why did you do some of the things you did?
Because by being a kid, being forced to grow up so quick, and that's all I was around adults, and it was more like peer pressure, you know, and to try to fit in when I should have never even tried to fit in.
You've had 60 write-ups. That's a pretty healthy number.
Yes, ma'am.
Help us understand why you've gotten 60 write-ups over the course of your incarceration.
Well, the majority of them is when I first come to prison, trying to understand prison life and everything. Being illiterate, not really knowing the language, not really following the rules, not knowing the rules. I thought I knew everything, and I didn't know nothing without education. And just part of the reason I got my education, because more I learned, better a person I became. More classes I took, thanking for a change, all the substance abuse classes, Toastmasters, going to AA, all these classes helped me grow up and become a better person, because I never really grew up. I was stuck as a kid.
All right, well, let me ask you about a few of the write-ups specifically, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
In March of 2018, on the 26th and on the 24th of March, on the 26th, you got a contraband write-up. What was that about?
They brought like 8 people into the office, and they were strip searching them at a room. The room was never checked after each strip search. I was the last person to be strip searched. They found a cigarette lighter and some other stuff in there, and they wrote me up for all of that. At the time, I went back and forth with DV court like 7, 8 different rehearings, and I just quit fighting it.
Well, but then you also had an intoxication also. So how'd you get an intoxication?
Well, there was never no intoxication. They never took a urinalysis or blood sample.
But a rule 14 is intoxication, isn't that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You got written up for intoxication and you were sent to the working cell block?
Yes, ma'am.
So why did they think you were intoxicated?
Because my eyes were red. And Miss Jackson, I had about 5 surgeries on my right eye right here. And it stays red. I can go outside in the sun and it gets red.
No, but then why on this particular day they would choose to write you up for intoxication for the red eyes that you always have? And not only did they write you up for intoxication, they wrote you up for contraband.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So what was the contraband you up for?
Contraband was for a cigarette lighter that was found in a room after they strip searched him. Like I said, it was 8 people that got strip searched that day in that room, and the room was never checked out in between each inmate being strip searched.
How do you know?
I was standing right there in the office with them. All 8 of us were standing right in the office.
All right, so you were there when the others were being strip searched?
I was the last one to be strip searched.
I said, but were you there when the others were being strip searched?
Yes, ma'am.
Did a cigarette lighter come up when any of the others were being strip searched?
No, ma'am. I was the only one that got charged with contraband.
But if you were watching the strip searching, you would have seen whether or not a cigarette lighter turned up, correct?
Correct. I seen it turn up, but I just didn't say nothing.
And so where was the guard when it turned up?
He was standing right there outside the door while inmates was taking their clothes off and putting them back on.
All right, well, let's talk about the write-up you got in June of 20. It was a 30W. What was that about? June 17th of 20, you got a 20W.
Oh, it's a hot
A
crab.
30W, I'm sorry, a 30W. What was that?
That was the hobby crab. We went in a hobby shop to do a monthly inventory. And me and the free man was doing the inventory of the box, and I showed him 5 pairs of vice grips. And he said, no, that's not pliers. I said, they all on my inventory as pliers. The needle nose, the channel locks, the clamps, the vice grips, they all pliers. The 16 pair of pliers. All my pliers accounted for. But we had a discrepancy about the pliers. So he brought it to Major Grimes, Major Grimes. And Major Grimes told me not to go back in the hobby shop. So they went back and inventoried the box. But when they inventoried the box, the 5 pairs of pliers accounted for. But I still already had a write-up and a process of going to DB court. And the investigation report, it clearly states the pliers are there. But you found me guilty and gave me a suspended sentence because you said you found a bottle of oil in my property.
It did show that it was suspended. I do see that. I'm sorry, are you a trustee, Mr. Hess?
Yes, ma'am.
What level of trustee?
I think I can only make level 3. Yeah, level 3.
Okay, and how long have you been a trustee?
Close to 2 years this time.
You say this time, what does that mean?
At 18, I lost my trustee status behind all the write-up.
Okay.
And I was a trustee for 5 or 6 years.
What level?
Level 3.
So you've never been higher than level 3.
No, ma'am. I think it's to do with my charge.
It was what kind of charge?
To do with my charge as a murder. Here at Hunts, I think the highest I can go is a level 3.
Are you a part of any kind of clubs or organization?
Yes, ma'am. I've been with the Lifers Association since I came here. The last 6 years, I've been with AANA. I help the Walk Talk. I help Toastmasters, Music Association. I help all of them, but I'm not part of their membership. I'm just an AA and Lifers members.
And how long have you participated? How long did you participate in AA?
I got over 6 years in here at Hunts. I've 9 years in Angola.
Are you currently enrolled in, are you currently participating with AA and NA?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Warren, what can you tell us about Mr. Hess?
Yes, ma'am, he's been doing well. He works as a tutor in HVAC. He helps a lot of guys get their certification. He's helped himself. He's been working on himself for quite a few years. I can see back all the way back to 2012. He was taking anger management, living balance. He was trying to work on himself for the last several years. He's been doing well. I think he's on the right track.
Mr. Hess, if you were successful, what's your transition plan?
My transition, I would like to go to the parole project for a minute, to get some help there. I'm going back to Ponchatoula. I'm gonna go with my wife, live with my wife in Ponchatoula. I have a job, 2 job offers. I work with my little brother at a trucking company. Man said he'd put me through school for CDL license, whatever. Christopher Lisi, he's the manager of CMS for HVAC, so he said he'd give me a job day one.
What's your plan to maintain sobriety since?
I want to go get with St. Joseph Catholic Church out in Ponchatoula and see what all they have to offer for its AA, NA, odds and little things that I want to do. If I have a probation officer, I want to try to go talk to some youth offenders or whatever, and just try to get back to the community. I want to try to do some positive things.
I have to tell you, you do have some opposition from the victims' 2 brothers and sisters, from the victim's wife and the judge, the DA. So what would you say to those people who don't think you need to be released? What would you say to Mr. Ryan's family?
What I would say to Mr. Ryan's family is, whatever I did that night or said, or whatever Terrell Beers believed I said or whatever, I did not hurt you, brother. I did not kill you, brother. I didn't pull the trigger. I really don't remember much, but I'm not the same person. There's nothing I can do to bring your brother back. And there's a lot of things you do not know. There's a lot of things I really would love to just sit down and talk with him about. Because there's a lot of things they don't understand about a lot of people that was involved in this case. There's a lot of things they do not know. And I apologize from the bottom of my heart from losing a loved one. Since I've been down in the last few years, I already lost half of my family. I'm sorry, like I said, prison been good to me because it really made me focus on myself and change. I'm sorry.
What are you sorry for?
Anything I might have did to cause the people any type of pain.
Well, I
For
mean,
even causing people pain, for even knowing Terrell Beers or anything. For even let Mr. Ryan leave with him, knowing the type of people that he was with. I'm sorry. I should have never even told Mr. Ryan to leave my house. I should have just ran the rest of them off. Told the rest of them to leave. I mean, there's nothing I can do or say to bring Mr. Ryan back for my actions. By being a kid, I really didn't know everything. I didn't understand life. I didn't grow up like a lot of kids. So I really, I'm sorry for anything I did or didn't do that day that caused anything to happen to me. I apologize. Like I said, I really just don't know. I don't remember a lot of it. But I know I didn't pull the trigger. I know I didn't kill Mr. Ryan. By making him leave and he left with Terrell Beers, I'm sorry. That's the judgment call. I didn't really know the consequences of what would have happened to her. I wish I would have kept Mr. Ryan with you. He would have been safe. I apologize for anything I did wrong, any bad judgment calls or anything.
Thank you. That's all, Mrs. Renata.
Thank you. Kelly Herrera has advised that she has class, so she's not going to be able to speak. So is any one of your guests there with you? Mr. Hess would like to speak on your behalf.
Yes, ma'am. Want to speak to?
Wait a minute.
Yes, my name is Digna Hess. Gene and I have been married for 8 years now. I first met him back in 2009 and as a pen pal. And since that time, I can attest to this man's character, how he's, shown me a lot of things and given me good advice on how to handle relationships and, with my children and my parents and I've, his family helped me when I moved to Louisiana. I was in Florida for 27 years and, because of my relationship with Gene, I decided to move here and help him, find a way out of prison. And that's been my sole goal the whole time. We decided to marry 8 years ago, and I don't regret that for a minute. And regardless of whatever decision you make today, I'll be with him doing life. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to speak?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Melanie Hess. My baby brother. What he's feeling, I mentioned because he's changed the way we grew up. We grew up with Jack Daniels drinking alcoholics. My father beat my mama to her death twice. They near split her head from ear to ear, ear to ear. Welfare constantly in our life. Parents didn't care about us. They didn't care. They didn't care nothing about us. None of us was given an education. I can tell you for a fact that 90% of his trial is a lie. I was the one that was kicked out of the room, out of the courtroom twice, because I said objection. I objected because his lawyer was not doing the case correctly. His lawyer was using Terrell Burris's name and my brother's name, and then he would use my brother's name, which Terrell Burris's name was supposed to be. The parish we come from, my daddy fought with the police nonstop, fought with the judges. He was sued by Mr. Gomez, Mr. Kalutovich. One was a detective, they both were detectives. And my father was a bastard of a man. There's no other way to put it. We kind of raised ourselves, did the best we could. My other brother, they put charges on him. They put charges on him. I turned around, they put attempted murder charges on me, but 6 counts on police officers. I'm a 5-foot woman. In court, they had Timmy Arsenault, a 6'4" man, said I beat him down. That's when the judge stopped the case, in my case. And that was enough. But there is so much dishonesty in Blackman's Parish courts. No one should be allowed to have a court there. They should be given.
Okay, yes, we're here to talk about Gene. We're here to talk about Gene. And you need to wrap it up for us, please.
He has done so much good with his life. And and that's hard to say because he's been in prison. But he's educated himself. He is a different person. And he loves being able to teach people and help other people communicate. He's helping people with these schools and things like that. And he wants to work with youth so that he can help them that's having trouble with parents with alcoholism like we did. He's trying to show them that you don't have to listen to people telling you you won't be nothing in your life.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
are options and you can get to them before you get to prison. You know, that prison doesn't have to be an option. My daughter got killed.
No, it's about Ray.
Yes, ma'am. Can you wrap it up for us, please? Time's
Yes,
up.
ma'am. My daughter got killed. The girl that was sentenced to 20 years for stabbing my daughter 5 times.
Ma'am, can you wrap it up for us? We need to move on.
Yes, ma'am. I love my brother. I've
Yes,
lost 90% of my family, and I'm sorry for the other family. I know it's hard because I know it's
Yes,
like.
ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Mr. Rocky, is there something you want to say briefly?
Yeah. Look, I was very young when this happened, okay? And through my knowledge, throughout everything, you know, I think my brother's improved. I've been in his life since day one of prison. You know what I mean? I was just a child coming to prison. There ain't place for a child to come. But throughout the years, you know what I mean? My brother has changed. He made significant changes. You know, he's done good. He's got a whole book of things he completed here. You know what I mean? I'm willing to give him everything he needs to succeed out there, whether if he needs a place to live. I got him a guaranteed job. I'm willing to pay for his schooling, to go to school, to get the license he needs to drive or do whatever. If he wants to do something else, you know, I'm willing to stand up and do it. You know what I mean? I can't do nothing for him here, you know what I mean, but see him right away. It ain't a place for him to ride away. He's in his 50s, you know what I mean? It's time for him to get out, start his family, maybe have a kid of himself. You know what I mean? Like, I got a 15-year-old daughter. She came see me one time and she won't ever come back here again because she don't want to. You know, so to me, I think he was railroaded from the beginning. Okay, and that's my figure of it, you know. I've been dragging through it my whole life. I'm now 44 years old. I knew my brother. I was young when he went to jail, and I've been knowing my brother in prison ever since. You know, and like I said, we getting short. I got bad health issues. I done had buku surgeries, you know what I mean? So I'd rather see him on the outside than being in here.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming today and speaking to us.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gene or Ray, they call you Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there something you'd like to say to us before we vote?
Like I said, not a change. I'm not the same person. I mean, keeping me in prison is just a wasted bed, wasted taxpayer dollars. I can be more productive out there on the streets than I can be in here. You know, I got an education trade. I know I can keep a job. You know, I want to do different things. I want to go talk to you. I want to help give back to the society and the kids and show them there's a better way to life than listening to rap music or doing things or trying to be something you're not. Be yourself. You know, find and educate yourself. Don't let people tell you you can't do things in life when you can. I mean, it took me to come to prison where I read how to write and everything else. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your remarks. Be prepared to vote, Mrs. Jackson.
Mr. Hess, this is really a difficult case for me. Yeah. Regardless of, you know, what did or did not happen, there was never any indication that you were actually the person who committed the actual murder. Someone else actually pulled the trigger that killed Mr. Ryan. And that person, you know, obviously has to take responsibility for that. Your role in it, you know, even in the worst case scenario was that you encouraged the other person to pull the trigger, and that person did it. So this is really hard. You know, you say you didn't even do that you know, you've been alleged to have done. On the other hand, you have done a lot of work to improve yourself. You dropped out of school at age 13, and yet you've been able to complete a lot of programming and become certified to be instructors in a number of those programs. You've taken some programs. I'm concerned about your disciplinary record. You write up 60 is a lot. It's a lot. You haven't had any since 2020. And that one seemed to be relatively minor because the sentence was suspended. You have been in prison for 32 years. And again, it was admitted that you are not the one who actually pulled the trigger. So today, and I had a note, undecided, I'm going to hear from you, hear what you have to say. Today, my vote would be to take a chance on you, Mr. Hess. Because you have accomplished a lot over the time that you've been incarcerated. And so my vote today would be to recommend to the governor that he grant a commutation sentence to 99 years.
Mr. O'Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Hess.
Good morning, sir.
Good, Mr. Hess. You said you did most of your disciplinary write-ups when you first got in prison because you're trying to get adjusted. But I see a 30W, 2 contraband write-ups, intoxication, theft, defiance, aggravated disobedience, and aggravated work offense in the last 8 or 10 years. You are a grown man, you're not young, you've been in prison for almost 20 years. And you're still committing intoxication, theft, disobedience, and aggravated work offense. Your disciplinary conduct, your general disciplinary conduct is unacceptable. You have the judge who's opposed, the DA's office is opposed, and law enforcement is opposed. And the entire victim family is adamantly opposed to your release. As stated by Ms. Jackson, you're not the one who actually pulled the trigger, but you are the instigator. You are the person who urged Mr. Burrs, and in your words, let's kill him. For all those reasons, I'm going to deny your request for clemency.
Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Hess, like Judge Jackson, I was very undecided about what to do. I've listened intently to what you had to say. And for all the reasons that she stated, I'm willing to take a chance as well. My vote likewise would be to grant a commutation, recommend to the governor that he can grant a commutation to 99 years. Good luck.
Mr. Freeman?
Mr. Hess, no, you wasn't the one that pulled the trigger. I do have some concerns about your disciplinary and the fact that you always got a reason behind, what you've done. Instead of just saying, yeah, I did it, I had it, I was drunk. But then on the other hand, you have done a ton, and I do agree with Ms. Jackson and Judge Marabella, and my vote would be to commute to 99.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hess, you say you didn't kill the man, you didn't kill anybody. And you don't know what you said because you don't remember. So I don't know, you don't know what you did, apparently. There is very strong opposition, and I hear what your family has said about Plaquemines Parish, but there's very strong opposition from the Plaquemines Parish community, because you've made no effort to take any responsibility for your actions. And for those reasons, they say they are very vehemently opposed. I do agree with Warden Bordelon. I believe you're on the right track. I'm just not there yet. You're not there yet, and I'm not there yet. So my vote today is to deny for the reasons stated by Mr. Roche. So you've received 3 favorable votes, 2 that were not favorable. So today the outcome is that your applications for clemency has been denied. So good luck to you. Keep working hard. Reapply when you can.